showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
Little.
What is happening? What is happening? What is going on? All my folks out there in the podcast world, everybody that's listening. Shout out to everyone from around the world. Thank you for tuning in to me right now. This is the second show of 2022. My week was all right. Hopefully your week was just as good. All the good things and also all the bad things, as I always say. Even the bad things are learning lessons. Hopefully you guys are better people as you move on. Yeah, man, there's a lot of things that's been going on in the news cycle, and let's talk about it. Hopefully you're sharing these topics and discussions with your own people, your friends, your family, whatever. If you haven't spoken about it, and this is just a reminder of what's been going on. So for all those that really know what's going on in the news cycle, and for those that don't, you're tuning into it now. That's what we're here about. Of course, me talking about it, and also the founder of Lyfeblood.com. You can bring those discussions on the platform. Anyway, so let's get it started with the show. I'm your host, Nova Phoenix, on GCOM Radio, on iHeartRadio, and let's get it started with the topics that we're going to discuss right away. Of course, one of the main things that's going on in the news cycle is Martin Luther King Jr. MLK Day has just passed, and of course MLK Jr. was saying that he did not want anybody to do any celebrating, of course, in the Biden administration, if they're not going to have any serious backing to the voting rights bill that's going on. Of course, he knows everything that's happening since the 2020 election of Joe Biden as president, that the Republicans are doing what they can to suppress the votes of people in various states across America. Who's to think that we would be talking about this in 2022 when it comes to voting rights, especially with Martin Luther King Jr., all that he's done in the past in the civil rights movement, and to think that we are actually discussing now, which is all counterproductive to the work that he's done. I can't believe this is going on right now. I can't. It surprises me that there hasn't been more gumption or more fires lit up the Biden administration of really taking to heart. Now, they haven't done anything since he's been voted in. When it comes in particular, when it comes to black issues, when it comes to the George Floyd bill, the voting rights bill, everything on the side, everybody what they voted for President Biden to be, how he's just taken such this dragging of the feet attitude, especially with the block from Joe Manchin and Sinema. It's funny, man. It's funny what's happening. But MLK Jr. doesn't want any celebrating unless they're really going to go forward and push this hard as far as the voting rights. Even former Bernie Sanders surrogate, hitting the mic, former Bernie Sanders surrogate Nina Turner, she was on, I think, a CNN show. And she was talking to Jonathan Cott, I think his name is. I forgot the guy's name. He's a former advisor to Senator Joe Manchin. She was talking about how this whole thing is a travesty. And the famous thing I think should be a hashtag is gas up the jet. Pretty much putting Biden on Front Street and saying, if you're really not going to do anything about what's going on, or matter of fact, you got to do something about what's going on with voting rights. And if Joe Manchin and Sinema don't act correctly, you should gas up the jet and head right down to where they are, telling them these are the two people that's really holding up the progress of what I'm trying to do for my administration. And they are single-handedly knocking things down and keeping things from going on. I got to say it, Nina Turner was really turning it up on that CNN. I think it was a CNN interview. So she was definitely putting this dude Jonathan Cott or whatever on putting his seat on fire. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. You need some more of that talk, man. Too many people are playing by the numbers and acting like I don't know, they're like robots, Democrat. I'm like, yo, listen, this guy really hasn't done anything significant. It's the same story from week in and week out that Mansion Cinema is blocking things, and how nobody is turning up on any media outlets, nothing, whether it's on major news, on social media, on Twitter. Like, that's the most attitude fire that I've ever seen that's coming from since the very beginning, from day one, from the Biden administration. Nina Turner, shout out to Nina Turner. You shouldn't even see, you know what, matter of fact, but the other people that's really putting the fire underneath the Biden administration is the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur. I can't pronounce, I forgot how to pronounce his last name. Uygur. He's from one of the hosts of the Young Turks, along with his co-host. Like, they really lighten it up. But other than that, I haven't seen any politician, I haven't seen anyone pretty much that's a part of these news shows that's really stepping out of the typical talking points of what Democrats are trying to work with the Republicans, and they're trying to meet middle ground, all this nicety talk. I really haven't seen anybody really going hard other than the Young Turks, TYT, and you know what just happened with Nina Turner. We need more of that language, man, because right now, if we let this type of language dominate the news on, okay, let's be fair, we have to have a middle ground, we're not going to get anywhere. And Republicans never do that. They never go along with this talk. Only the Democrats talking on, well, maybe we work. Nah, bruh. Nah, everybody knows how I feel about that. Let me take a sip of tea first. Hold on. I never hear anything about that. So the other thing is Marilyn Mosby. I'm a follower of hers. Marilyn Mosby is someone that really steps out again, outside the playbook of what a prosecutor should be. She's the Baltimore prosecutor. She's recently been indicted on charges involving fabricating claims of hardship in order to get money out of her retirement account. They said about $40,000. She was also charged with making false statements to a mortgage company to purchase a vacation home in Florida. She failed to disclose some federal tax lien of $45,000 on her application or something. Listen, Marilyn Mosby is not a typical prosecutor. That's a black woman out of Baltimore, and she is going to do her job as a prosecutor, but at the same time, she's not going to be a tool or a sentry to continue systemic racism in Baltimore just by crazily locking up people in Baltimore just so you can fill the jails. And she said that. She says she's going to be a prosecutor that's going to be fair and open-minded, and she's going to do her job, but also knowing she's just not going to just follow along and be a pawn of what's happening in the local politics of Baltimore. So I always fully supported her, but unfortunately, which we all saw coming, if you're a follower of Marilyn Mosby, you know the system is just not going to let her stand there and talk all this progressive talk. And really, I don't even want to throw the term progressive on it. She's just a person that's saying, wait a second, I'm not just going to just blindly just start locking up people and just, throwing the book at everybody black. And no, she's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Well, if for serious crimes, of course, but I'm not going to be your pawn. And of course, the system kind of railed back on her. I knew in some way it was going to happen. Now she is indicted on these charges, and even her lawyer is saying they're going to fight back. He says, quote, we will fight these charges vigorously. And I remain confident that once all the evidence is presented, that she will prevail against these bogus charges that are rooted in personal, political, and racial animus 5 months from her election. And we all know this. It's not a matter of just having a black face or someone that talks black or someone that, oh, listen, I went to this at HBCU and now, oh, great, they're going to be. It's not about the first black person or da-da-da-da-da. What are you going to do in that position in order to do your job, but also not just with your eyes closed start locking up people because it just fits the numbers. It fits the program of how the system wants to deal with African Americans in this country. And she is being very meticulous in how she's doing her job. She is not going to be what's the guy's name in Life? What's that dude's name in Life? Life, a movie with Martin Lawrence. And I always think of this dude, and he was basically the warden's kind of like right hand man, and he basically, when the warden or whatever, the white dude wasn't saying nothing, it was him. The actor's name is Brent Jennings, and his character's name was Hoppin' Bob. So Hoppin' Bob was just as bad as the warden. Let me see if I can find him. I'm here on this list here. Let me see if I can find that guy. Nick Cassavetes was the guy that played Sergeant Dill, I think his name is. The name is kind of like, I can't see the name. Sergeant. Let me see if I could find the guys. Dillard, Sergeant Dillard. He played Sergeant Dillard. So when Sergeant Dillard wasn't doing all that, overseer talk, handling the prisoners, and he let this dude, Hoppin' Bob, took over and was as bad as Sergeant Dillard. And it was, the Life movie was funny, but I see a lot of these folks, like what they were trying to do with Marilyn Mosby. A lot of other politicians, they want them to be Hoppin' Bob. They want them to go hard in the systemic racism as any one of them. And sometimes the characters like Hoppin' Bob, they try twice as hard because they want to prove to their boss that they're going to carry through the message, or they're going to carry through the mission of continuing to oppress black people. So you have Marilyn Mosby that's doing her thing. Now they say, and a lot of people are throwing words at now they do say a lot of people were tossing those same words to Vice President Kamala Harris. She was a prosecutor in California. Let me just see where, because I can't remember where she was from. Let me see. Wiki. Attorney General, District Attorney for... Okay. All right. So they were saying the same thing about Vice President Kamala Harris when she was the district attorney, or the 27th district attorney of San Francisco from 2004 2011. There was a lot of questionable things that got on record on how she was moving back in the day. She said she was just doing her job as the district attorney, but a lot of times, you have to be more, what's the word I'm saying? Detailed in how you're doing your job in the ways that you're doing it. Because as I said before, if you're just going through the numbers of racism that clearly exists in the criminal justice system, and you're acting like any other district attorney, you're just locking up people because you just want to do your job, of course. But that's the problem, because it's just not about just locking up people and doing your job as district attorney or whatever legal, job that you have in the legal system, whatever. It's about really understanding about, of course, you want to uphold the law, but understand how it's unfairly how black people are being unfairly treated within the criminal justice system. So, hey, listen, Marilyn Mosby is the exact opposite from what I hear as a picture is being painted about Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, when she was the district attorney in San Francisco many, many moons ago. So, of course, when you step outside of the mission of how they want things to go, like what Marilyn Mosby was doing when she made a couple of press conferences of how she was going to do her job, the system is going to push back on you. Because, of course, you can't be talking about improving a community. It's not about that. It's about locking up the community. Now, we're not here for reform or rehabilitation or allowing people to climb the social ladder. This is about keeping people right in their place. And that's your job as a district attorney. That's your job as a Baltimore prosecutor. But Maryland's not having it. We got to fully support this woman on fighting this case in whatever way possible, and support her, because I think it's important as black people move about the legal system, and we're here to change what's happening in the legal system, how it unfairly treats black and Latino folks, all POCs, that the criminal justice system or the prison industrial complex can't be seen as a money-making business. Because when you get into the money-making business dealing with people's real lives, that's the wrong road that you want to go down. And how is it any different from actual the transatlantic slave trade that was happening in yesteryear? I mean, we have to do something different here. We're not trying to go for slavery 2.0 here, and that's essentially what a lot of people think the prison industrial complex is about, because it's about making money and putting people to work on 2 cents an hour. That's what you're doing again. And they just want to wrap a nice, neat bow on that new age language on what the prison industrial complex is about. And it's kind of going into the same thing in what's happening with Rikers Island. There's a huge hunger strike that happened last week. They're saying that prisoners are protesting the horrible conditions at the jail. Now, these prisoners are saying that, again, there's scarce medical treatment. There's no access to law libraries, which hinders due process. There's limited commissary. They're losing incoming mail. Court dates are continuously put off. And prisoners are unable to receive any type of outside communication. They're even saying that some, of course, and this is not a far-fetched thing, there were some saying that the people that are awaiting trial dates and haven't been convicted of a crime sitting in jail. This is a problem, man. Isn't this the same thing that was happening with Khalif Browder that Jay-Z got behind and did the doc on? He spent 3 years in jail without a trial in Rikers Island over an alleged robbery, a robbery of a book bag, if I'm correct. 2 of those 3 years he spent in solitary confinement. This brother was broken. 16 years old, this young brother was broken. He was mentally broken. He was physically broken. He was attacked by prisoners. He was attacked by correctional officers, if I'm correct. They actually have footage of this happening, and the Department of Corrections is saying the prisoners they're denying the hunger strike, and they're saying the prisoners are actually eating commissary food or something or other, not eating the institutional food. So this hunger strike is not what it's made out to be. However, Christopher Boyle, the attorney and director of data research and policy for the New York County Defender Service, he's actually saying the opposite. In this article, he actually said, if I can bring this up, he says, Cole, I have to say that that's a pretty bad argument, not one that you want to use in front of a jury, because basically they're saying the hunger strike is going on. They're refusing all this food, but they're getting the chips from the commissary, and that's going to sustain them for this entire period. He goes on to say, I reject that notion that they're using the commissary, because the information that we were getting from other clients, from other facilities, because this is one of the complaints about commissary was, number one, it was stocked. Because this is one of the complaints about commissary was, number one, it was not stocked. They weren't able to get anything in commissary. So obviously, people are tossing around words of what's happening with Rikers. A number of elected officials and human rights advocates like the Fortune Society and #Halt Solitary, they rallied last Thursday to protest the treatment of the prisoners and demand action by the mayor and the Department of Corrections. Now, it's funny to say that, from what I understand coming up in just life and understanding prison loosely, you did something wrong, say you robbed somebody or you did something or whatever, and you got locked up. Say you're doing time, but prison on paper is what they were saying, that of course these people are going to spend like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in jail, but within that there are things or programs that prisoners can do so they can be better people in the what do they call it? The rehabilitation programs that they have in these prisons. So you have educational programs, employment programs. I don't know how serious that is. Like I said before, sometimes prisoners are doing 2 cents an hour, stitching clothes or digging, whatever the case may be. So I don't know how far that went. Counseling, of course, wellness, rehab, like all of these things, these programs that are supposed to be a part of your time in prison, so you could come out to be better people. But in real life, it's something different. As I said, was what these prisoners are talking about in Rikers Island. Like, it's like a torture facility, because if you can't get any counseling, mental counseling while you're in jail, I mean, what do you think lockdown is when you're in a 24 or 23 hour lockdown in the dark in a room? What do you think that does to a human being mentally? What do you think when you're on a 23 hour lockdown for an extended period of time? What does that do? That will destroy someone mentally, psychologically crushing. If you don't have any education, I've heard over the years that there were educational programs. As a prisoner, you could actually get a degree in jail and come out, at least in a better position as you were before you went in. They took those away. The wellness rehab, I don't know how far that's went. So there are a lot of things that were there in certain prisons, but I've heard over the years has been slowly taken away. So now you're not really doing anything with prisons. All you're doing is you're just basically shepherding people into the prison system so all these other companies can make money off of them. Whether it's you're the company that's running the communications, the prisoners talking to their family, and they're running up crazy expensive phone call bills to the family trying to talk to their loved ones in jail, whether it's the clothes, whether it's the food, whether it's the different materials like the food plate, all these other things that these companies are kind of getting contracts with the prison with, making buttloads of money. And these people are the numbers that's actually being used so they can, whether these companies are making money off of them, off of all the items that I just mentioned, or actually the other thing of using these bodies as votes when these people are shipped off into rural communities and they're trying to get votes for whatever that's happening in the local town. That's even a wild thing. That's adding salt to the wound. I'm like, what? You're counting these bodies in prison as votes to go towards certain local legislation, and they're not recognized because they're in jail. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So I'm wondering how we're going to move forward with Rikers Island, because they want to shut down Rikers Island. I'm not saying that you're not going to have it's complicated. I'm not saying look, as I said in the last show, crime is going to happen. When you're in poor communities and you lack financial access, limited options, you're going to do what you're going to do in order to survive, right? So what the society is going to say, the people, politicians, the people is pretty much representing certain communities or somewhere in, city positions, political positions are going to say, well, you did the crime, so you got to do the time. And they want to make it cut and dry like that, but it's not always cut and dry. We all know what it is to rehabilitate communities, to revitalize communities. We understand that policing is a short-term, I wouldn't even say a solution, a short-term tactic in order to control what is happening in the community, right? And then these people because they lack access, lack opportunity to have any upward mobility, they get shepherded, they get kind of shuffled into the prison system. It's not a matter of understanding the why. It's just like, you did the crime, hey, you going in there. So now we have whole farms of people just sitting there, and they're collecting money off of all these companies that's getting contracts with the state or the city or whoever that's running these prisons. And also now their votes are being put towards things that benefit other people. That's not solving the issue of crime in a community. That's a system that's put in place to continuously oppress a marginalized group of people historically, one generation to the next. That's really not offering any solutions to fix up the community, but just using it as to exploit the bodies. What does that sound like? And the people in order for monetary gain for companies or individuals. And you know what really gets me upset? What really kind of gets me upset is the fact that you have COs, corrections officers that are black, that are in there and understand it. We all grown folk, we all grown people. We know we've sat back many hours after coming home from work, drinking a beer, watching television to see. We've had to have some degree of thought on where our life is if you're a corrections officer, if you're doing the right thing. And a lot of them I know have these conversations and they're talking to each other and they know what they doing is effed up, but they collecting a check. Sounds like Hop and Bob to me. Hop and Bob. So I'm like, what are we doing here? So it's just not a system where we owe the big bad guy, the big bad white guy or whatever, it's not just that, but we also have other people that are complicit that are that need to pay, rent and get food and all that. Hey man, I need to work, so I'm just gonna be a corrections officer. It is what is up in here. They don't really care. So you have other people that are just go along with the program. And people are and they're in full witness of what's going down at Rikers Island and a lot of other prisons across America that are black. And I'm saying specifically the black corrections officers. So I don't want to hear nothing. It ain't just white people working these jails, man, in these prisons. A lot of them are black, and I'm just upset that they can go at home and eat well, free with a free mind and with a free conscience, and be like, hey, well, I'm just doing my job. It gets me, man. It gets me. So I'm fully in support of these organizations that are trying to turn around Rikers Island, shut it down, whatever. In the meanwhile, are they going to have something that's more humane system? Of course, you're not just going to not have some sort of a holding system, right? When people do wrong, they're just trying to either change what's happening in Rikers Island or totally shut it down and then reopen something else. Because they're not just going to. In the current state, the way things are, they're just going to have. You got to put people somewhere. Understanding the current situation as far as crime in the community, and you have a police, an NYPD or whatever PD in that county, they're arresting people. People have to go somewhere in order for their trial date or however, right? As the system exists, as we understand it. So they're just not going to just shut down Rikers Island. So, I'm in full support of all the organizations that wants to get the attention of the mayor and the Department of Corrections, see how they can fix this or shut it down or do whatever is necessary to have more humane conditions for these prisons. Corday has got a new album out. Last week he dropped From a Bird's Eye View, and FK Twigs, she has a new album as well called Capri Songs. Where has FK Twigs been? Man, I haven't heard of that woman's name in a while. I don't know what she's been doing. She's an English R&B, I should say, from England. And the only time I heard about what was going on with FK Twigs is when she had this bad relationship with Shia LaBeouf, the actor. And Shia LaBeouf was allegedly whipping her ass or something like that. She was in an abusive relationship and she got out. And that was among the many stories that you were hearing about Shia LaBeouf and his crazy antics. Yeah, man. Shia LaBeouf, he's amusing. But then when you heard all these stories, I don't know, man. I think fame and money has some people come out well. Keanu Reeves, they're very balanced. But a lot of people come out effed up, when they get money and fame in Hollywood. And they turn into quirky, crazy characters like Shia LaBeouf initially, on the surface. And then when you dig down and there's more, demented things that's going on. Like, yo, bro, this is seriously going to your head. So, yeah, but FK Twigs, she got a new record out. I got to give it a listen. And Gunna got a new album that he dropped. It's called Drip Season Forever, along with Earl Sweatshirt. I don't even know. I just heard that Earl Sweatshirt. That's coming from Sweatshirt. Let me see what's the name of his album. He's down with what's his name? Oh my God. I forgot the name of the crew. You know who Earl Sweatshirt is. Come on, folks. He's down with damn, what's the name of that dude, man? And I got his albums. He got a new record out. Odd Future with the group. He's in with the group Odd Future, and along with Odd Future is the other dude. Man, I can't believe that I'm forgetting dude's name. See how this is like the third. Look, I can't remember everything, man. I can't remember everything. I go off the cuff, and then I got a lot of information that I'm trying to stuff in his brain. Not everything sticks. Not everything sticks, man. Let me see. Odd Future. And sometimes I forget, sometimes I know. Tyler the Creator. God damn it, man. I don't know what's going on. Lack of sleep or whatever, but damn. You little folks, I can't remember everything. So anyway, he got another album out. The name of the record is BBBBB. Let me see here. Elsewhere, 20. And I just heard, I was talking about it. It's called Sick. The name of the album is Sick. So big ups. I like Earl Sweatshirt and his vibe. I haven't heard him recently as of late, but I'm definitely going to check out this new record that he got going on. I like his vibe, man. I like his energy. I love Our Future. I love Tyler Creator. I love what they do artistically. They're constantly pushing the envelope on how we're going to stretch hip hop and seeking identity within the culture, and some of it is going to be stuff that people ain't gonna like, and some people is going to be stuff that they do like. But if you don't got people hating you on the music that you're doing, you're probably doing something wrong. Because a lot of times, if you're cookie cutter, it's easy to fall into the cookie cutter sound. Like some artists are mentioning today with the hip hop, there's artists that are coming out with music. But it's refreshing to hear cats like Earl Sweatshirt or Tyler the Creator really coming out with projects and doing something different, because the way they are, they could not literally survive by doing what other artists are doing, sounding the same. So I do appreciate listening to their music and listening to what they're doing, because hip hop needs it, man. Hip hop needs it. What else is going on as far as albums? What's the name? I can't remember. Again, I can't remember her name. There's another artist that I'm looking at. Oh, what's this guy's name? And probably people already got it already. I've seen it, but I haven't really listened to it as yet. My guy, let's see, The Weeknd, he got a new record out. It's got an 80s vibe. I could appreciate it. I did listen to it on iTunes, and I really dig what he's coming with. He's taking that 80s sound. So I'm going to give it another listen to hear it is. But it's been out a couple weeks, I think. When did that album come out? Let me see. The Weeknd album. What was the name of that record? The Weeknd. Let me go to my iTunes and see if I can find The Weeknd. Now he got the old man face instead of the beat up face. He got the old man face. The Weeknd. I want to hear The Weeknd. Oh, and Ian, wow, I spent it. Is Week ND. It's called Dawn FM. That's the new record. So yeah, he's got an 80s vibe to it. So I'm looking forward to. I'll buy it and I'll check it out. Matter of fact, why not now? Here, click, done, bought. I got it. Buy. There you go. So I'll listen to it. And I'll check out Earl Sweatshirt and hear what else is going on. Yeah, so that's what's happening. And as far as the latest artists. Oh, yeah, the other thing is what's going on with that whole thing with Kanye, man. It's sad to hear. I think it was smart for him to do what he did. I was looking at Twitter and they were talking about, why is he talking about it? But he's not as crazy and, as people want to make him. He understands and he knows what's going on as far as him as a celebrity, his wife, and everything that happens around them. Stories can happen at the drop of a dime in mere seconds, and then that can really either boost you as a quote-unquote good person or turn you into a villain the next. So apparently that, for whatever reason, Kim doesn't want him to be at his daughter's birthday. So he couldn't get it from anyone in the Kardashian family, the nannies, or nothing. So what's his name actually helped him out. my guy is going through his own issues. He actually, let me see, Kanye daughters. And that's crazy. Like, he's getting on. He knows that if he doesn't say something, they're going to come out with this story on TMZ or something saying, oh, Kanye wasn't at his kid's birthday party, what type of a father he is. And that's actually going to put out a narrative that's going to make it seem that, you know, Kanye is a deadbeat father. And then all of a sudden, whoever judge is going to deal with the divorce or how much money he should give, they're going to hit him hard. But, you know, he actually had to have, what's his name, hit him up. Let me see here. Travis Scott. Travis Scott was the guy that really, you know, was like, yo, you know, his address, come by and see your kid. That's amazing. It's celebrity nonsense. It's like regular people problems that got a lot of money. That's how you could decipher this whole Kanye West, Kim Kardashian things. Is regular people problems, except these people got a lot of money, and that's why it gets on Page 6, TMZ, and all these other sites. So it's sad that this is going down in the way that it is, but you know, Kanye was smart by going on there and really telling his story before TMZ ran with it and be like, oh, Kanye West wasn't it? He's a fucked up dad. You know what I mean? So shout out to Travis Scott, really, you know, hooking him up on what's going down. What else happened? The hostage situation in the synagogue in Colleyville, Texas. So that ended. The hostages got out. The assailant turned out to be some kind of 44-year-old British citizen by the name of Malik Faisal Akram. He actually was chasing out of the hostages until he saw, you know, SWAT on the outside, and he ran back in. So of course SWAT follows up and ran in with flashbangs and gunshots, ended up killing this guy. Supposedly he was saying he did this for the release of some Pakistani neuroscientist by the name of Afia Siddiqui, convicted in 2010 for trying to kill U.S. authorities in Afghanistan. So they were saying he was doing rumblings, you know, he wasn't making sense. He would go, you know, I'm not at fault here or whatever. I'm not a bad person, to flipping off and going in a whole nother direction. I would have liked SWAT to kind of take this guy in alive. Was there any way when the hostages ran out and it was only him, was there any way to try to take this man alive? In some way, so we can get an understanding of who this man is. Now, of course, they find out, they ID'd the guy and they're going to run through his place or whatever. But again, it would be nice to take him alive so you could probably get some information out of him if that was possible. But they went in and they lit it up and they ended up killing this guy. This is my thought. What happened to tranq shots? Again, I brought that up before, dealing with police brutalities. You know, it's not going to make a difference because, you know, officers are given the stun guns and they still seem to kill people even with the stun guns. So I guess forget about the tranq shots for that. But in terms of when you're dealing with this situation, how come they don't have tranq shots? If you have tranq shots that could drop a freaking elephant in 2 seconds, how come they don't use tranq shots in these situations when it comes to taking hostages, right? So you get the hostages out, they're out of there. If you know that this guy doesn't have any armor, and they'll say, you know what, let's just tranq this guy. Instead of killing him dead by riddling him up with bullets, you know, how come they just can't give him a shot and be like, okay, all right, we got him, take him in. This guy wakes up in some 4-wall room, you know how they do typically in the movies and pull the bag off his head. You know, I don't understand like why they had to kill this guy. Why they had to kill this guy. You don't know what information he has. You don't know. I don't know, man. It's crazy. But I'm glad those people made it out. It's unfortunate that this did go down in that synagogue down in Texas. It just came out of nowhere. So I'm glad everybody was all right. Peacemaker, man. The Peacemaker album. Excuse me, not the Peacemaker album. Stupid. Peacemaker. The DC character that's in Suicide Squad, the reboot of Suicide Squad. Of course, it was with John Cena. So I like John Cena. I really do like John Cena. But I don't know if I can get with this DC character Peacemaker, because all I see is this freaking shiny bowl on his head. Like, it's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's like, can you imagine this dude John Cena putting on that uniform right when he was doing that movie, and he was like, looking at his agent like, really, you think people are gonna take me seriously by having this freaking chrome dome of a helmet on my head? I can't see it. So of course you're not supposed to take the characters totally seriously, not like you would Batman or Superman or something like that. It's supposed to be a gag in some ways, because the Suicide Squad is not supposed to be taken seriously, right? I get it. It's supposed to be comedy. I get it. But I was surprised that this guy got a show on HBO Max. So right after this Suicide Squad, they talk about it and introducing all the characters in this. Soon after, it was like, oh yeah, John Cena's got a spin-off with this character Peacemaker. And I'm like, it's on HBO Max. I have not seen it. It's out there. When I check this out, I'll definitely give my 2 cents. I am not a movie critic, as what you have seen on a lot of these YouTube channels, but I will throw in my 2 cents because I watch a lot of movies. So I'm going to give my own, breakdown of this whole series. And from what I heard, they were just talking about it. I don't know if it's, from what I've seen, it's neither good nor bad. It's just, talking about the movie and these characters. So we'll see how it goes. Black Panther's back in production. Letitia Wright has recovered from her injuries. I thought it was simply as like, I don't know, she was doing a stunt and she broke her ankle or something like that. It was actually more serious than it was. She had a fractured shoulder and a concussion. Like, goddamn, that must have been like a stunt that went seriously wrong and she got hurt like this. I had no idea. They never really explained it when I was reading about what happened to Letitia, but now she's recovered. She's fine, hopefully 100%, and she's back to recording. Recording Black Panther again in principle. It's interesting to find out now that Grace Randolph is on the boat. She's on board with #recast T'Challa. And it's funny that she said certain things. Of course, they're not going to dump BP2. She says they're not going to dump BP2 and redo it, but maybe they can do like a variant of T'Challa. And I'm like, yeah, why not? I mean, that's what my man was saying when he #recast T'Challa on his show. Let me see my guy. Let me see here. Hey, Grace Randolph right there. Excuse me. Actually, he says, let me see if I can find him. He actually responded to Grace. He responded to Grace saying, and Grace is like, yeah, they could do a variant. It's possible. You know what I mean? I have no idea where it was. Hold on, folks. Let me see if I can find this, because you have to pick the right thread in the Twitter. Here it goes. All right, so she says, okay, unless they start Black Panther 2, Black Panther 2 over from scratch, and they're not going to do that, it's too late. The movement has gained real momentum lately, though, so maybe we can get a T'Challa variant. I fully support the fans behind #recast T'Challa. So the gentleman that put together recast T'Challa, his name is E-Man's Movie Reviews. You could go to YouTube and check him out. He actually responded to Grace Randolph, and he says, actually, Grace Randolph, they don't have to start completely over. They could change the setting to be pre-blip. They could keep all the production and bring in a variant via magic, multiverse tampering, or even Kang. #recast T'Challa is about not killing T'Challa for a third time. And I agree with E-Man. I can't believe this was a conversation. I really can't believe that this is a conversation about Black Panther 2. And so many people that went for it. I'm like, this is, again, I can't believe in the modern day of all this information that we constantly hear, and we're having this dialogue of this exchange of ideas and talking about issues, dealing with what's happening to black folk in this country. And it's also spilling into entertainment, how things can be unfair in a certain way, kind of microaggressions in the industry. And, if we really don't pay attention, it can kind of go over our heads. But sometimes, you got to kind of rattle the cage sometimes, or like nudge people like, not really, not entirely. And then it kind of like, ooh, oh yeah, okay, that's right. And I kind of responded to Grace. And I said, initially, I thought it was just one movie, but to hear what they really wanted, whoa, in the multiverse world, anything is possible. To say it couldn't be done when dealing with fiction and a multitude of possibilities is disingenuous and unimaginative. Why this is real talk is beyond me. Yeah, I'm like, I don't understand why this is actually so far-fetched. Now, why are we having this conversation about not recasting T'Challa? I said it before. We never had any issues with recasting any other character. All of a sudden, this is really, people are having a back and forth banter on how you can't bring back T'Challa. Anyway, so I'm glad Grace Randolph is back on that, and hopefully that this movement can gain more steam, and then we can recast him in the third one, in the movie after this in some way. So, I mean, come on, this is the multiverse. You can make up anything. You can make up, crickets blowing up to Ant-Man size, and then that's the new enemy. I mean, if you could think of some wild and crazy thing when you're dealing with the multiverse, you can recreate T'Challa. This is not a stretch here. Come on, folks. Let's get real. All right, so the other thing that I noticed, the fan-made lightsaber battle, man. I just found this is crazy. So every now and then, because I'm a Star Wars fan, there's some really good fan-made lightsaber duels that are on YouTube. Please go check it. Just YouTube lightsaber duels. You see things from fans that's been going on for well over 10 years, and there's some kind of crappy ones, but there's some really well-made lightsaber duels. I'm talking about these fan-made ones. They have great production. The setting is tight. The clothing is tight. The story of what they're trying to tell is tight. Even straight up with the choreography of the lightsaber duel it's professional. It is professional. These people took the time out of their money, putting their head together on putting together a real tight 5 to 10, probably 5 to 8 minute duel, a lightsaber duel, just alone. And I am geeked straight up. I'm not even gonna lie. So I find out that there's a lightsaber competition called Saber Comp, that's been going on for, I guess, a couple of years now, whatever. And I saw the latest winners of Saber Comp 2020, Yadfu Films by Michael Yadfish, which includes him. He's the director, but also one of the main characters in this duel, along with Dan Soden. And man, I mean, it just goes to show how much even this latest Star Wars trilogy disrespected this Star Wars story, man. And even in the lightsaber duels, because when you see this fan-made lightsaber duels, or a few that are on YouTube, they blow out every lightsaber duel that you've seen on the last trilogy of Star Wars. And to me, it brings up Rian Johnson. It brings up Kathleen Kennedy's. All of this was on their shoulders. A lot of it with ego and power. And, a lot of people might not think of it as a big deal. But, if you're a part of Disney, putting out, a Disney property as big as Star Wars, it will go to your head, man. That's, that ain't nothing. That ain't no, Disney is big, and they are a big part of film in America. And when you are heading this huge engine that has bought the Star Wars property, yeah, it could go to your head. And I think it went to, and now, to be honest, I was pissed off with Rian Johnson before, purely from a Star Wars fan base corner. And I'm like, Rian Johnson, he's not a bad director. He's made some good works. Knives Out was one of them. I saw Knives Out. It was a really good film. He's really good, but I think he disrespected and almost damn near Star Wars. It was a Star Wars crime, bro. It was criminal on what he did to Star Wars, and a lot of fans did not like that. A lot of fans, sometimes fans can get it wrong, but sometimes fans can get it really right, and this one was a travesty. But yeah, I encourage people to check out that lightsaber duel. I wouldn't lie, man. If I was a part of the whole Star Wars business engine and I'm on YouTube, I'm taking some tips. I'm taking some tips because these people are really doing it up, man. I tell you, really doing it up. The other thing is Eternals, man. I finally saw Eternals. Man, it wasn't as bad as people wanted to make it out to be. It wasn't a typical Marvel movie. Marvel movies are kind of, when you get the formula of Marvel, of their movies, it's the dialogue, of course, between the superheroes. It's big on the fights, and it's big on the jokes too. It's colorful. It's bright. It does have its heft depending on the storylines and the characters that you're concentrating on. But you can appreciate the skill and the professionalism putting together a Marvel movie, or in how they're being stringed together. Of course, big shout out to Kevin Feige, how they're doing a really good job on stringing these things together. Now, as far as Eternals is concerned, I don't think it followed the same format. They stepped out a little bit. What I can say is, yes, there's a lot of dialogue. It's wordy. The film is wordy. There is a lot of it. And of course they do have their action scenes. They're saying there was not a lot of action. Let me say this. If you cut out some of that dialogue, then the action, as far as the amount of action, would fit. But because there was a lot of talk, it made it seem that there wasn't a lot of action. But there was a decent amount of action scenes that you can at least enjoy. Like, wow, that's pretty cool. It was the first, I think, sex scene in Marvel, even though Marvel has had like intimate moments. I don't know why this was a big thing as far as their sex scene. Of course, it's not gonna be like mad graphic or nothing like that, but showing naked bodies and stuff in the big screen. Marvel has done it on the small screen as far as the movie streaming, but as far as the silver screen, Marvel haven't nothing. It was the first on the silver screen where you see two naked people actually having some sort of sexual intercourse or whatever, what's that. So maybe that was a little talk to drum up for the movie. It wasn't that super necessary to have that in there, but anything to really get people talking to go see the film, I understand. So I'm not gonna knock Chow for the movie that she made. She just had some artistic differences, and she exercised her directorial debut as a Marvel director in a certain way, and she did what she did, and I can appreciate it. So I'm not really knocking it. A lot of people wanted to make. I don't know why they was knocking it. They knocked this movie. They knocked Black Widow. They was knocking that. I don't understand why they knocking all these films for. A lot of bad luck happened. It took too long to come out with a Black Widow. It took way too long. But when it finally did, and then COVID came, it was pushing back the movie and everything like that. So, oh my God, it was just terrible. I can't see another one coming out. Black Widow, even is with her sister. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, man. So another conversation. What's happening? Oh yeah, Carly Hustle. I had another quick little Twitter back and forth with Carly Hustle. She's in the music industry. She's been around for a long time, and I follow her. And she's unfortunately she got hit with cancer. Fortunately, she kicked the cancer, which is a beautiful thing, and she did a documentary on it. I don't know when she will actually release this documentary. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's one of those things that you just don't expect. And she got cancer, and this is what happened. And she wants to tell her story. But she had her talks on cryptocurrency, saying that cryptocurrency, she wasn't sure about it, and all she's seeing is people that already make money putting their money into cryptocurrency, and they're pretty much going to be the ones that are going to benefit from crypto. What about all the poor people who can't afford to buy into crypto? What happens to them? And she was very skeptical of where cryptocurrency is happening. And she later said that she does have some investments in certain coins. I don't know what they are, but she's being a human being and actually considering other people other than herself. So if that's a crime, she is guilty as charged. But she made a good point. Like, what happens to all these people that can't afford cryptocurrency? What happens to them if and when we do make that complete 100% crossover? And then she also quoted or retweeted one person that were talking about, racism and the isms, everything, and how, how are we going to get these people on board once we make this transfer? Because it's cryptocurrency is, she had issues with cryptocurrency taking over, but all these other isms that kind of exist in our societies today spilling over in cryptocurrency not being something that's going to solve that problem. And I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I know she didn't say that in exact words. I forgot her name. But I tweeted back to her and I'm like, cryptocurrency is not going to teach anybody humanity. Cryptocurrency is a tool. It doesn't give a seed into the truth of our existence. It's not a magic wand that once we wave it, all of a sudden all our problems disappear. Cryptocurrency is just an opportunity for people to find their way out of the current system that they exist in today, the financial strains that they're under this current system, and them seeking a way out to say, I'm trying to look for a better quality of life by giving myself abundance. That scarcity is not befalling on me. It's not shrouding me. And I can't have an opportunity to have options to get myself out of this current situation, which a lot of people are in. And I've explained that before. And I said crypto, it can be a tool to free people. It can give people an opportunity for a better quality of life to not be constrained under the weight of poverty if they do this right. And we are at a time where we're on the cusp of this changeover. And people are truly trying to figure out in what direction are they going to find themselves in by investing in crypto. Some people are all in 120%. Some people are half in. Other people are not entirely sure. But people are taking a leap. And as I said before on other shows, there are no more worlds to conquer. There's no more land that we can walk upon that we are unsure of, that we don't know where we're going or what people has been on there. We have advanced as human beings on this planet where we know every inch of land on it because we have the technology such as satellites. We know every single inch. We may not have humanly walked on that inch, but we know there's no reason to go there. Okay, we get it. We have satellites that float around and orbit the Earth, and we have a complete map of this planet. But where we're at is the uncharted territory of human possibility. That's the uncharted territory. That's the land we have not walked on yet. Human possibility of where we can go by using cryptocurrency and blockchain. We understand the shortcomings and the failures and flaws of the system that we've been existing in for the past 100 years, and people are literally ready to squeeze themselves out of it to get to the other side in order to live a better life, because we see what is happening. We see the legacy financial system rejecting it and accepting it at the same time. Rejecting it because they don't have a centralized control of this digital currency as we're stepping into the 21st century. But yet accepting it because they know the global citizenry is getting behind it and they're taking their value with it in order to live this new world. And of course, the legacy financial system, they don't want to be in a place where they're not taking advantage of it. And they're not going to allow another country to come in. And I say legacy financial system as far as the system that we use in the United States. They're not going to allow another country to take an advantage over this new economic system that we find ourselves in, whether it's China or or Russia or anybody else. And even if it's not a major country, a modernized country, they don't want any other country that they feel that they control to kind of step out from under that, because then that's a freedom that they just can't allow politically, strategically, militaristically, who knows, and whatever way that they see it. But they have no choice. So far, they're talking about the Federal Reserve starting their own digital currency. And it's funny, a Republican actually is fighting against that. I don't agree with a lot of what, especially what Republican, how they define themselves today. I don't agree with most of what they're talking about, but I'll raise my hand with a Republican if they're talking sense. And right now, this guy talks sense because he's concerned that for the Federal Reserve to enter into the digital currency as cryptocurrency, it's problematic because then you'll have Big Brother kind of having all this secret information that they shouldn't have, and all of a sudden you can have an issue of Big Brother really, what do you call it? Putting their citizens under a microscope on what they're doing, what they're purchasing, how they're moving. So, I mean, we already have enough Big Brother oversight already, but they just don't want them to have the whole bag. This Republican representative. So I understand him to that degree. You know, that's a lot of power that you give, but you know, there's so much. I mean, it's funny that we do have a problem with cybersecurity and how a lot of the huge companies are having issue with keeping from getting hacked, but yet they're still getting hacked. But it seems like we're slowly coming to an understanding as far as consumers and producers that how can you truly stop a company's servers from getting hacked? All this private information, because it's not stopping the market. It's not stopping business. People are still buying at ridiculous numbers. I mean, Amazon is making billions and billions. Even then, when we all know that we have this issue of cybersecurity, Amazon is still one of the top companies right now, the top. You know, as people just steadily keep buying. Shoot, I'm going on Amazon today. I got to make a purchase. So we're well aware of it, but we're dealing with it at the same time. And we're not, this is the day and age that we live in today. These are one of the advantages and disadvantages of dealing in a 21st century world. And as far as cryptocurrency, we understand what that means and who's being left out and who's going to possibly take the lion's share. But I told her, listen, that's up to us. We can't worry about them. That's what we have to do. For people that are thinking about other people, it's our opportunity to provide or create the space where we can be well off, create that quality of life through cryptocurrency and blockchain and NFTs, and all of these things are coming into the fray or coming into our site. And then at the same time, as we position ourselves for a quality life, we can also create programs that's going to bring in others into the fold as far as having a quality life for themselves financially and getting them on their feet. So what do you do with the homeless people? What do you do with the people that are in as far as they're working, they're cooks or they're messengers or they're working at fruit stands or whatever? What do we do with these people where we can have them, we can fully bring them aboard in the cryptocurrency world? How do we do that? I don't have the answers. I don't have all the answers. This is a conversation that I want to have with the people that's listening to the show right now. Now, I have my own strategy that I want with Lyfeblood, and this is not a plug for Lyfeblood, but it's interesting that this conversation is related to my platform. These are the things that I've already mapped out and I've typed up, and I already have it in the business plan. Where are we going to go? Because it's not about just providing people financial access, but what do we do with that financial access once we have it? Where do we direct those monies? Where do we direct these cryptocurrencies? Where do we go with this? And it's all laid out in the strategy. As I'm talking to VCs right now, if I'm talking to people in these corners, it's just not about money. It's just not about money. Because if it's just about money, then we're going to be in the same position as we were in the last 50 years. We're still going to be dealing with the same thing as far as homelessness, underemployment. We're still going to deal with all these other things that we've dealt with the dollar. So how do we take this opportunity to use cryptocurrency as a tool and invest it and put it towards places where we can make our society a better place to live? Now, people have already come up with some solutions that goes along with stepping into the cryptocurrency realm, but it's time that we actually have this conversation publicly together and start coming up with some programs or some initiatives that's going to get society on the right page, whether it's United States, it's Russia, China, Zimbabwe, El Salvador, Venezuela, South Africa, China, Thailand, Singapore, Brazil, wherever we go. How are we going to put this into play? So yeah, that's a concern that people do have, that Carly does have, but it's something that we have to keep it in our frontal lobes as people are moving feverishly into this new world. How do we make sure that other people get as along with us? And what does this world look like when you have cryptocurrency and blockchain and NFTs as far as our new economic system that we are living by in order to feed our families? How do we create a community out of that as we step into this new system? Whether the legacy financial system is coming along with it or not. And that's something that what I can do as far as Lyfeblood is concerned. But hopefully these conversations are also happening in your own circles. There are people that are talking about Bitcoin, all these other digicoins that they want to inform people on, these new technologies that's emerging out of cryptocurrency. And this is just the beginning, and it's moving at a lightning speed. I understand people just want to be at the forefront, but it's also important that we take these other things into consideration as we're moving into these new human possibilities. So I welcome people, man. I welcome people to have this conversation with me on Twitter, on IG, or even responding to me on email. This is what it's about. And there's this whole world that I'm creating through Lyfeblood.com that I would love to have these conversations with people as we step into the new age in 2022 and beyond. It's already happening. You can't stop it. It's there, from stadiums changing their names to, major celebrities are also selling their products and artwork and music on NFTs and, all the other people that's really taking advantage of this new thing here. So how are we going to move forward in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years? What solutions are we going to provide for folks, for us, for our families, everyone in our community? And it's about we now. It's not about me. It's about we. We've been so selfish, and it's been a part of the DNA of this country for so long. I think it's time to change that perspective. That we have to change our humanity into a word of we instead of me. So, all right, folks, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you listening to me on these couple of topics that I wanted to bring to you guys. Sorry, I was having a brain fart so many times, and I can't remember everything, man. I read and I stuff all this information as far as what I'm going to do with the business, how I'm moving forward to, what I'm going to talk about for the next topics of the show and all the other things that are associated with this brand that I'm trying to build here. I don't remember all the other details, especially when it comes off the cuff, off the top of the brain, and I'm talking on this mic. I'm just not going to remember everything, so thank you for sticking it out with me and understanding that fact. So I'm going to get out of here now. I do appreciate you guys listening again. Tune in for next week, and I'll keep you guys updated on everything that's happening. So as far as concerned, please, if you understand where I'm coming from with Lyfeblood and what we're trying to do with Lyfeblood here, and of course, you guys, if you've been following me a long time, you already know what we're coming with. It's just not a matter of trading dollars with each other monthly, but really taking advantage of what's happening as far as the new technologies that's coming, that's really kind of gravitating around us, and how we can pull that into our orbit. If you understand what I'm trying to do as far as the message is concerned, the mission statement of Lyfeblood that goes along with the financial feature portion of what Lyfeblood is, please feel free to reach out to me, talk to me, email me, whatever, and definitely let's get aboard of making this happen. So thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys next week, and be well. All right, peace.